Let's get to this story about Frito-Lay. So there's a strike. So you can't believe the working conditions at Frito-Lay, right? Makes billions in profits. See what Frito-Lay's profits was for last year. Striking to end suicide shifts, Frito-Lay workers ask people to drop the Doritos. So we are dropping the Doritos. This is an article from Vanessa Romo on July 21st. Hundreds of Frito-Lay workers are striking at a production plant in Topeka, Kansas that makes Fritos, Tostitos, Doritos, Cheetos, and Funyuns. I like all those things, and I won't be eating any of them. Many of the 850 workers at the facility say they work 84 hours a week with no days off. Workers are nominally supposed to work 8-hour shifts, but workers are often forced to add on an extra 4 hours before or after their shifts. Workers call these extended shifts suicide shifts. Some workers haven't had a single day off in 5 months, including Saturdays and Sundays. So this is what capitalism does. They'd rather have slaves. All right. So they would rather have slaves working in prisons. But if you can't get that, this is the next best thing. I used to work at UPS, and UPS, it's such a demanding job physically that they figured out that they could get more production out of their workers if they worked 4-hour shifts. So we would come in and work a 4-hour shift loading trucks. And that was it. Because they knew your second 4 hours after you had lunch, your production went way down. Because that's a demanding job. So you would think capitalism would, but no, this is actually how capitalism works. They're having them work every day of their lives, 12 hours a day. Sounds like what we used to think about in China. In its latest contract offer, Frito-Lay has said it would raise wages by 4% over the next 2 years and put a cap at 60 hours a week. Frito-Lay workers who are unionized with bakery, confectionery, tobacco workers, and grain millers, Local 218, say that that's not enough and are demanding an end to forced overtime. I'm a Frito-Lay factory worker. I work 12-hour days, 7 days a week. Hundreds of workers at the Frito-Lay plant in Topeka, Kansas, are striking for the first time. Mark McCarter is a 59-year-old union steward at Frito-Lay who has worked at the Topeka facility for 37 years. He was asked about his job and why he's striking. He said, "I've worked at the Frito-Lay factory in Topeka, Kansas since I was 19. Straight out of high school, I run huge robots that are probably 15 to 20 feet tall, and they transport product that comes from the production floor, Fritos, Doritos, Tostitos, and all the Cheetos. After 37 years, I still get forced to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. You come in at 7 a.m., and not only do you work 8 hours, but when you get off at 3 p.m., they suicide you, which means they force you to work a double shift, and then you have to come back at 3 a.m. There's 850 employees, and it's true for 3/4 of them. So you got to work from 7 to 7. Then you go home. You got to be back at work at 3 a.m. Wow. This job wears you down. It tires you and makes you mentally exhausted. It plays with your mind. Some of these guys who work 12 hours a day every day are destroying their marriages. They're destroying their families. My wife passed away, so I don't have a wife to go home to say, hey, babe, I'm only working 8 hours tomorrow. But a lot of these guys come in with the understanding that they're working 8 hours, but when they get the call, they got to call their wives and kids and say, guess what? I'm not 8 hours. It's 12 hours. And then I have to go back at 3 a.m. I make $20.50 an hour after 37 years. I haven't gotten a raise in a decade. This is from a Fortune 500 company that is making billions. We're hoping we can get these people back to work with a decent wage of some kind of an alternative to all this forced overtime. Honestly, I don't know how what they're doing is legal. I don't either. Here's a little bit more. Production didn't stop when line worker died. Frito-Lay employees give glimpse behind the scenes. So you are shocked. So they were saying they were shocked. The company was saying they were shocked that their employees voted to strike. And they say, so you are shocked that our employees voted to strike for the first time at this plant? I'm shocked you are so out of touch with your employees that you didn't see this coming. It began when you started giving lump sums instead of raises, when you lowered wages for new hires coming in, and when you supported an iron-fisted management that has created a toxic work environment. Here's just a few examples. Many of us making us work in dense smoke and fumes during and after a fire, because you stated it's just smoke. When a coworker collapsed and died, you had us move the body and put in another coworker to keep the line going. We worked during the entire COVID-19 quarantine while office personnel worked from home. We didn't get hazard pay, bonuses, rewards, or recognition. The fact that you offer paternity leave to all your employees except those at union plants. During the COVID-19 lockdown, a coworker's father passed away in another state. You told her, since there wasn't a funeral, she didn't qualify for bereavement time. She had to take off 2 of her own days to grieve. Your negotiator told us that it isn't that Frito-Lay can't afford to give us raises. He said he's there to protect the stockholders' investment. Meanwhile, you have held down our wages year after year by refusing to give us cost of living raises. One classification got a toll of 20 cents in a decade. We no longer offer competitive wages to balance the stress of unpredictable long hours, 12-hour days, 7 days a week. Your threats and bully tactics only fuel our fire. You have pushed us into a corner and we came out swinging. And now you're shocked? So just to let everybody know, here are some other chips that aren't made by Frito-Lay. Bugles, Takis, Pringles, On the Border Snyder's, Fridays, Potato Skins, Terra, Cheese Balls, Utz Original, Mission Tortilla Chips. That's what we're getting. Golden Flake, Wrap, Pop. So there's a bunch of them here. So big deal, right? So I don't, I guess it's just going to happen. And workers are just there. It's just over for the United States. We're turning into Brazil. We don't have a middle class. We have the rich and poor, just like Brazil. And there isn't a person in power who gives a shit to do anything about it.
But Jimmy, Jen Psaki said communism failed when she was talking about Cuba. I'm so confused here. Like, is Jen Psaki, who comes out and during these Cuba protests, the Cuban government, our government makes this big, the Cuban government, people aren't getting supplies and food. Like, our own workers, this sounds like third world country slave labor stuff.
Yes.
Somebody died and got replaced, and then they just keep working and, hey, I'm here to protect the stockholders. And I'm so sick of this narrative we've heard for the last year and a half of companies making record profits while their employees are dying, are not getting hazard pay while upper management is home. I mean, this is just on down the line. This is what Chris Smalls got fired for at Amazon. I mean, and Americans don't want to, I don't know, they want to wake up to this, because if they don't have one of these jobs, then they don't want to wake up to it. I don't know what it's going to take other than like a general strike, because as you pointed out, there's no progressives. The Progressive Caucus is a complete joke. I mean, so we have to do some sort of general strike or something, because the unions have been eviscerated over the last 4 or 5 decades. So there's very few unions. As you pointed out, many of the unions that are still around, their management's been co-opted. So the union leadership isn't as strong. You've got union members who want these things, but this is just like, and again, our corporate media should be screaming from the mountaintops, if they were actual journalists, about how American workers are being treated in the year 2021. During a pandemic. I mean, this sounds like stories you'd read about, back in the late 1800s, this is what American workers had to go through. No. It's today. Jeff Bezos just flew his dick rocket around the planet yesterday for $5.1 billion. And these assholes, at Lay's are also billionaires, and their employees get nothing. It's just it's so broken. We're not a representative democracy. We're a kleptocracy run by oligarchs. And forget the Democrats and the squad and Bernie. None of them are going to do shit. They've not done nothing. They've done nothing. So we need a general strike. We need to shut this down. In the meantime, everybody don't buy these products and stick it to this company. I don't know what else we can do.
I'm with you 100% on this. 100%. I can't believe that somebody hasn't unionized Walmart. How does that happen in America, right? So America, we're supposed to be, rebels and fighters, and the biggest employers aren't unionized. Walmart, Amazon, and those workers are McDonald's, and they're just unbelievably exploited. It's crazy. It's not, and Americans just take it. Our live shows are back. August 4th, we're in Burbank. August 7th, we're in Chicago. We're going to Portland. We're going to Boston. We're going to everywhere. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for tickets.